What's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon to some out there. It is the Earthmaster on this finally Friday, September 9th, 2022. It is about 9:12 a.m. California time. Latest quake looks like a 2.5 out there on the Earthquake 3D globe. All right, let's go ahead and look at the latest activity around the map right now, showing some movement out there in the Oklahoma area, it looks like. Let's go ahead and zoom in here just a little bit, see what we got going on here in the last hour. 2.5 near, looks like a line, Oklahoma. Never heard of it. Outside of Enid, in between Woodward and Enid, it looks like. Out there in the oil fields, I'm sure. Ringwood oil field. Little earthquake down there at about almost 8 kilometers. Let's go ahead and pull up the all magnitude, see what else we have in Oklahoma. A little scattered activity throughout the beautiful state of Oklahoma, but that's about it. Most of the movement today out along the west coast and elsewhere. The eastern part of the country, we had one earthquake here from last night, 2.1 in the Missouri area. And it looks like one newer one overnight as well, a 1.9 near Sweetwater, Tennessee, at about 19 kilometers there in the Appalachian Mountains. All right, west coast area is seeing some activity in the San Jacinto fault line area. That's this little fault I shouldn't say little, it's kind of a big fault system there. Runs parallel with the San Andreas Fault. As far as the San Andreas Fault goes, not a whole lot of activity on that currently. They are getting some rainfall from tropical storm, tropical depression K, which is now kind of spinning down here, working its way up. We'll take a look at the radar maps here in a little bit and see what Southern California is getting. A little activity also on the Imperial Fault today, or actually overnight. Kind of runs into the San Andreas Fault. Somewhat of a plate boundary connection there. Ridgecrest, though, somewhat quiet. Only a couple of earthquakes there in the areas that seen that earthquake activity back in 2019. A little activity on the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault as well. The swarming that we were watching around Mammoth Lakes there, Long Valley Supervolcano, has completely died off. Only one earthquake there in the vicinity of that swarm, a 0.4. That one coming in late last night, so nothing kicking up so far this morning time frame. Up here in Northern California, of course, we had that 2.2. This one came in late afternoon as well, just off the coast. Movement throughout the Seattle area. If you look at the dates here, all these are from yesterday. Nothing showing up here on the board today as far as any renewed activity. Up in Yellowstone, still some listed up here on the map, although the majority of this activity from yesterday as well. Let's go ahead and check out the latest Yellowstone overview here across the region. And looks, I can already see a couple small spikes here listed on the map, indicating that very small microquake activity. But this has kind of been an ongoing thing here, more on than anything. For about 10 days or so now, we've had a little bit of swarming going on. Although it's not as intense as we have witnessed in days past, it's still kind of a little bit of microquake activity and still part of a little ongoing swarm there at Yellowstone National Park. And this one mostly confined to the Maple Creek area, Holmes Hill. This regional activity up here is just kind of right there and not really migrating elsewhere. And the USGS has done somewhat of a good job of mentioning those earthquakes there on the map. One earthquake way up in Montana near Hart Butte, 2.0. Beautiful Montana up there, 22 kilometers deep. See what else we got. A little activity throughout the Puerto Rico area as well. The majority of this, though, looks like it is overnight. I had a couple maybe this morning time frame, a 3.1 in the mix there of all those earthquakes there in the swarming. No major movement, though, to note around the Caribbean plate currently. South America region, this activity is older movement from yesterday. In fact, that 4.6 was from yesterday afternoon, so not a whole lot of renewed activity here in the South America region. Out here along the plate boundary, the divergent boundary out here north of Ascension Island, seen a 5.1 this morning. A little bit of activity on the spreading center out here. A lot of times that does increase activity out here along the South America region, and also up here along the Mediterranean area, where we have been actually seeing quite a bit of activity. Not listed here on this map, but more so on the EMSC model. All right, let's see what we got for the Hawaii area real quick. Looks like a little bit of movement around Pahala, including one earthquake, a 2.1 in the last hour. Some activity around Mauna Loa as well. No major changes there to note, though, at the Big Island. Alaska, most of this activity from last night. That line of activity stretching across the Aleutian Trench. And over here around the Sea of Osk, looks like we got a 5.2. That one kicking up earlier this morning. Kind of late overnight, early this morning if you're up that early. This one kind of shallow there, 5.2 at 10 kilometers. And we did have a somewhat of a deeper quake there around the Kuril Islands into the Kuril Kamchatka Trench. That was a 4.6. So it took a few hours for a little adjustment to take place, but a lot of times, we mentioned how these deeper quakes can trigger the larger quakes upstream, but this one here is only about 69 kilometers, not super deep for this area, but it did make a little adjustment much further west from that earthquake there on the Kuril Kamchatka Trench. Let's see what we got here. Only got a couple newer ones on the map on this area. 5.2 in the Papua New Guinea area. It's only 1.6 kilometers deep. Very shallow earthquake there. Also, it looks like we had a 4.5 and a 5.1 overnight, but the majority of some of these other quakes here on the map are from yesterday. So still seeing some activity ramping up here within the region. Up here around the Himalayas, this activity here in the China area from last night time frame. Afghanistan overnight as well, 4.4. So things, just a typical day here across this beautiful planet we're living on. There is some, let's bring up the windy map here real quick. Let's see what we got. By the way, today is our last hot day here in Northern California. Looking at 113 degrees again today. Some places here where I live, you check this out, only dropped down to 90 degrees overnight. I think Redding, just north of me a little bit, Redding, overnight low of 90 degrees. Yikes. I'll be glad when we get back down to the 80s and up, and maybe even lower 90s. I can handle that. Even still, that's kind of hot. All right, so we got tropical storm, tropical depression K spinning off the coast of Baja. We are noticing some wind speed really ramping up here, about 50 miles per hour, just to the east of San Diego. This is shooting up a whole bunch of rain as well. I'm not for certain on thunderstorm activity. Most of it's just been a very steady rain over the morning time frame, and this is actually the next 3 days. This is the ECMWF model. The GFS model paints a little bit less, and the HRR model, the high resolution radar imagery, has put up the 48 hours or so. Kind of gives you a little indication of where most of the rainfall is going to accumulate at. But on the normal radars, we're looking at a little bit more wider swath here of rain. But these guys are kind of backing off on their totals here around the San Andreas Fault. We'll definitely continue to watch it, though, and see how much rainfall to get over around the Salton Sea area. But either way, a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind kicking up here. This is 9 a.m. as we go to about 5 p.m. Seeing that circulation there of tropical depression, I don't even know what it is now. Is it tropical depression? Probably. Spinning off the coast here of the Baja and the San Diego area. Notice the wind gusts. Mostly confined over here to this region and just offshore. Overnight into early Saturday morning. Still kind of just hovering off the coast there. Los Angeles should get some rainfall and a little bit of wind, but these tropical storms are somewhat hard to predict, and they got a mind of their own. To me, it kind of looks like this system is not going to shoot as far north as it was expected. But either way, these guys will get some remnants of the moisture into the atmosphere and spark up some thunderstorms and whatnot there in the Southern California region. All right, let's see what else we got. The volcano map across the area. Not a whole lot of change out here. Still seeing volcano activity around Kilauea, still kicking up. Confined to the crater, I'm sure. Tau Island. I'm going to go ahead and check this because they have been mentioning this quite a few posts on their the HVO webs. I don't want to take no survey. I'm not interested in any surveys, USGS, not unless you're going to pay me. Tau Island Volcano. We'll go to the site here. The latest update has wordings such as dwindling activity. Watch, check this out. The earthquake swarm related to Tau Island continues. In the past 24 hours, one felt earthquake was reported in the Manua Islands. The frequency of earthquakes in the past 24 hours remains low compared to the past week. However, the current trend of decreasing numbers of earthquakes does not mean the earthquake swarm will end. So we noticed this about 4 nights ago or so, looking at a lot less activity listed there on the map. Let's go ahead and check the recorded seismometer out here around the Tau Island and see what we got here. Not a whole lot popping up here overnight and this morning time frame at all. Maybe some very, very, very small ones. But this is looking like the swarm is almost completely dying down here. Stand by here for a second. Let's check out this other seismograph station and see what we got. This one here kind of goes back into yesterday as well. But notice the frequency here. Definitely seeing a major drop-off in earthquake activity across the region there of Tau Volcano. And we'll definitely watch it. It could just be a little temporary pause of what's going on underneath the ground. But yeah, not a whole lot. Things definitely looking a lot less active there across the region. What else do we have here? Let's go ahead and check out the space weather activity here real quick. Now, it's kind of an early update, but I figured I'd go ahead and do it this early. Had to get out there and cut the grass earlier before it hits, it's already hot out there, but before it hits 113, I don't want to be out there in the sweltering heat cutting my yard, so I had to get that done real quick. Space weather activity. Things kind of mellow across the board, so to speak. No major flares, not even any minimal flares popping up at all from any of these sunspots, and I've said it, if these things aren't complex in their magnetic field, they don't have that special spark there between the two, so to speak, that would create a flare. They're there, but man, they're not there. If you're looking for flare activity, these guys are not going to produce anything currently. 3-day geomagnetic forecast looks pretty green across the board. No major coronal holes facing us. And again, these sunspots, let's go ahead and look at the latest imagery here of the, these are dying off pretty rapidly. And this one over here, notice the differences here in the fields. These things need to be a lot closer, folks. A lot more dynamic, a lot more blue, green, red, all kind of mixed together. Then you can get that special spark between the magnetic fields that create the magnetic, the solar flares, right? Let's see what else we got. Solar wind stream, the current live data, major drop off. Look at that. Density down, speed down, the temp down, and everything stable for the most part, looks like here amongst the BZBT component. Shouldn't really see any active conditions at all coming up here throughout the day. So bad news if you like the if you like that type of event going on in your night skies like I do. Let's go ahead and check out the weather underground activity real quick here. They still call it Hurricane K, but that's not the case. It's actually Tropical Storm K. 45 miles per hour, gusts up to 55. And there is the path that it's expected to take. Even from these folks here, they're showing a little bit more offshore. Not quite into Southern California as expected. They got the date. Looks like maybe the closest there a little bit later on today. So either way, I know they're getting quite a bit of rain. Quite a few storm chasers out there, such as Reed Timmer. I don't recall the last time I seen Reed out there in Southern California, but they're out there trying to catch some flash flooding out there in the desert. And I don't know if they're going to get it. They got rain, but I don't know if it's going to be all that, all that much as what they thought it was going to be. And that's just California. I feel like California is kind of cursed out here. Wildfires, drought, and I live in it, and it sucks. California is not, I don't know. To be honest, I was born here, but I cannot wait till the day I get out of here and call somewhere else home. Because California, where am I from? California? Yeah, I'm from California. There was some beautiful scenery out here, and there still is. But I'm not into all the cities and the landscapes of the cities and skyscrapers and the massive amounts of people. I'm just not into that type of environment. So when I talk about it being beautiful, I'm talking about the forested areas, the Coast Range, and that's about it. That's about it. But aside from that, I can catch that anywhere out here along the Gulf Coast. They maybe not have the huge mountains like the Sierra Nevada, but I've seen it enough of my life to where I can always come back and visit if it's still here, pending everything doesn't burn down. Because there's a lot of fires out there right now, folks, in the California area, and they just start up out of the blue. And each year it gets worse and worse, and unfortunately coming up here, September, October are some of our driest and windiest months of the year. Everything's been dried out through the summer. All the snow's gone. Haven't had any rainfall. And we get these northerly winds out here ripping through the canyons, and these fires start up. And it's not good. The big one up there right now is the mosquito fire, 25,100 acres. Looks like there are extensive evacuation orders in El Dorado County and Placer County. Please refer to the official evacuation map. So it's a beautiful area up there. It's just up above Sacramento. And sometimes I do take Highway 50 going up to Reno or South Lake Tahoe if I do decide to visit that area, which I really don't like to anymore because, well, there's a lot of people up there. It's beautiful, but I'm not into the mix of all the people. All the evacuation zones, mandatory evacuation, shelter in place zones. Mandatory looks to be in the red outlines here, and that's a lot. I don't know how many people live back there. There are some forested areas, but yeah, it's not good, folks. It's depressing every time I look at this fire map, and it's probably going to get worse as the weeks progress until our major rainy season, which is sometime, if we're lucky, in November. If we're lucky. Past 3 years, literally, I'm not even joking, folks. We've only gotten probably 25% of our normal average rainfall here where I live. Not last winter, but the 2 winters before that, we only got like 2.5 inches of rainfall each winter season, each rainfall season, and that's just nasty. I think Death Valley gets more rain than that. So I'm hoping, but I'm not. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I'm not gonna. I don't know what the word is for it, but we're entering into a triple dip La Nina, and during these La Nina seasons, it's mostly cold and drier here in Northern California. So it's not looking good far as the potential for some heavy rainfall goes this wintertime. So I'm bummed. I got trees out in my field that are kind of dying. I got quite a few walnut trees in and quite a few other trees here in my backyard, and and I'm on a well, so I don't want my well to dry up or go out. So I have to water the ones that I really want close to my place, and unfortunately the ones out in the field are dying. The walnut trees are they're hating the heat. 115 degrees here now for like a week straight, and very minimal rainfall down to the roots. They're dying, so I'm gonna have to chop those trees up and keep it for some firewood, I guess, because I can't water every single tree now. It's just, otherwise I'll have no water at all. Not good. All right, guys, enough blabbering out here. I will be back a little bit later on this afternoon or this evening with an update video. Got hiccups all of a sudden, and hope everyone enjoys their weekend out there. Again, it is Friday, but it's crazy out there. The world's getting crazy, let me tell you. Have a good day, folks. We'll catch you guys a little bit later on. Peace out, everyone.